In the heart of a busy town, the oldest supermarket was rising, its time-worn sign rustling in the wind. The townspeople knew him as a nostalgic memory, an artifact from the past. However, a dark past lay beneath his appearance, while the locals were whispering about unexplained events. Among these decrepit shelves, no one dared to stay inside for long, even after sunset. One November evening, when the sky was painted with shades of twilight, a young woman with a weakness for curiosity and mystery, Jessica, found herself at the entrance to the supermarket. Despite the warnings whispered in his ear, he retreated into it and stepped into the aging building. The store was emitting a strange silence. Strange shadows were forming, along with the beam of lights that were dancing noticeably against the decrepit wallpaper. There was an intense musty smell in the air, which sent a chill down Jessica's spine as he made his way between the maze-like shelves. The cold in the air was deepening, with a decrepitude that worked down to his bone. In the frozen food section, Jessica's breath appeared before her eyes. The artificial coldness in the hallway created a chill that worked down to his bones. While trying to retrieve the bag of frozen peas, the glass door suddenly closed violently, trapping him inside the ice room. Panic set in. But no matter how hard he pushed the door, it wouldn't open. A voice full of shadow spread out with a chilling warning. "You shouldn't have come here." Jessica turned around, looking for the source of this eerie warning, but the hallway was empty. Her heart was pounding in her chest. While scrambling to get rid of it, Jessica discovered an old and neglected service entrance. The heavy door creaked, opened, and a dark corridor opened inside. She took her step resolutely, though full of fear, but the door slammed shut behind her as the corridor continued to curve like a maze. He felt a spiritual coldness in the air. The shadows seemed to be dancing on the walls, as if following their steps. At last, a pale light from the end of the corridor attracted his attention. Hastening his steps, he reached the room, a room lit up with an ethereal glow, with an old safe that dust and a spider had woven. Approaching carefully, an ancient November safe in the old vault suddenly started working. Incomprehensible symbols and numbers flashed on its screen. Before Jessica could even realize what had happened, a ghostly figure appeared behind the counter. Its empty eyes turned to her, leaving a feeling filled with despair and longing. "Release me." The ghostly figure's voice filled the room, causing shivers down Jessica's spine. "I've been trapped here for an eternity. You have to find the key to release me." In a moment of bewilderment, Jessica searched the room, finding a key hidden under a dusty shelf. When he took the key in his hand, the room trembled. He found himself in a light bright enough to surround him. When he opened his eyes, he found himself outside the collapsed old supermarket. Trembling, but resolutely, he looked at the key embedded in his palm, a symbol of the frightening but not so fascinating experience at the Phantom Supermarket. It was to be an unforgettable combination of the voice of the ghost, filled with the desire to be freed from an eternal captivity. Suddenly, a filter of light surrounded the place. Although the coldness of the key had still not left his palm, he felt a peace in it. He suddenly realized that it was not necessary to open some doors or solve secrets. This understanding brought a peace of mind to him. Without being obliged to the ghost's request, he put the key in his pocket. Jessica returned to the place of the old supermarket and began to retrace her steps on the way home. Along with the mysterious memories left behind by this supernatural experience, he realized how precious ordinary life and inner peace are. He understood that it was not necessary to delve into the depths of some events or discover what was behind the doors. On the edge of the town, there stood a forgotten grocery store. This place, which became eerie with its calmness at night, was a grocery store without a name. It had a mystery in itself. There were a few stories that only those who knew told. Despite this, I was working at this grocery store just before my shift started. It was my duty to organize the grocery store, which was open until midnight at night. When it showed 22 o'clock at night, I arrived at the grocery store alone. I was supposed to be working with my colleague Terry tonight. I went to the warehouse part of the grocery store and checked the products that needed to be stocked before starting work. I took the pallet cart and started placing the products on the shelves, but Terry had not yet arrived. I moved to look for him in the back, and he wasn't there either. I noticed that the back door was open, but soon after I saw that it was closed. I waited for a while, assuming that Terry was at work, but after he still didn't come, I went to the back again, but he didn't exist either. This situation worried me. Although I saw that the back door was closed, it was a strange situation that Terry was not in the middle. I couldn't understand the doorstop being thrown out. I called to him again, and he echoed, but I got no answer. I had no idea why he might have thrown the doorstop out. Terry. I came in because he was suddenly unwell. I told him that everything could happen completely spontaneously. No one else had plans to work that night. However, I continued to feel restless at work. As I was placing the breads on the shelves, I suddenly heard a loud echo coming from the other end of the grocery store. I stood up in amazement and looked down the end of the central corridor. There, right in front of me, a man was looking towards me in the dairy section. This situation made me uncomfortable. I'm starting to wonder if someone else could replace Terry. I tried to talk to him, but when I sensed something in his eyes, I decided to run to him, but I couldn't find him. I was quite uncomfortable with this situation. I called my boss and explained the situation. I then called the police and reported the situation. When the police came to the grocery store, we saw this strange man in an aisle. The police disarmed him, and he was acting a little strange. After the incident, I decided to pay attention to the shift arrangements at this grocery store once again. I have taken the necessary precautions and been more careful so that this kind of incident does not happen again. After the incident, I was deeply affected by this strange experience I had while working at the grocery store. Terry's unexpected disappearance and the mysterious behavior of the strange man have left question marks in my mind. After this incident, I took care to be more careful every step I took in the grocery store and always left the doors closed. Perhaps it was just a series of coincidences and misunderstandings, but this tension in my mood continued for a long time. Regardless, I was feeling a constant uneasiness now that I was working alone in that grocery store. This incident has taken place in my mind as a memory that I will never forget again. In the early morning, Amanda came to shop at the Riverdale supermarket, located on the edge of the city, and started wandering around the grocery store. It was located in a quiet, peaceful neighborhood of Riverdale, where she usually had to go shopping several times a week, leaving her 3 children at home. That morning, however, she encountered a strange incident that deviated from the normal course of her shopping. Amanda stuck to her classic shopping routine. She collected supplies from the shelves of the grocery store. However, he was startled by a tap on the shoulder while he was in the cereal aisle. Turning quickly, his eyes encountered a man with a rather bronzed complexion. He was wearing a red hooded top and jeans. The man approached to ask something with an uncomfortable intake of breath. At first, this bothered Amanda, but she was relieved when the man said that he was just looking for chips. He continued to make his own way, but the man started talking nonsense to him about why he liked chips. Amanda didn't like this situation and quickly completed her shopping and headed to the cash register. However, the man made her feel like she was being followed. The man who had appeared behind him while standing at the November checkout was quietly watching him. Amanda felt uncomfortable with the situation and quickly left the grocery store. When he got in his car and got up, he realized that the man was still there. On the way home, he began to worry under the influence of the strange incident. Things are starting to get weird for several days. The appearance of a man in a red hoodie at the grocery store outlet bothered Amanda. Every time she went to the grocery store, she noticed that the man was walking around the aisles and giving her strange looks. He felt that this situation was no longer an ordinary thing. One night, when he came home, he noticed that someone was at the door. When she woke up her husband, they saw that someone was trying to force open the window in the garden. When her husband got out and moved towards the man ran away in the dark. Amanda felt that something was not right when she was about to inform the police. The moments when she thought she was being followed home from the grocery store were not limited to supermarket shopping. This situation now signaled a greater danger, and she and her husband decided to take steps to solve this mysterious situation. But the fear was that the Riverdale supermarket was revealing the dark secrets behind ordinary shopping. As Amanda and her husband faced the truth, they realized that their neighborhood was not as calm as it seemed. This was a maze full of invisible dangers, and in Riverdale, with every shelf, another mystery was hidden. The police took the incident seriously and reviewed the security cameras at the Riverdale supermarket. He pursued the unidentified person behind the incident and tried to solve this strange situation that threatened the peace of society. Amanda and her family realized that after this incident, that quiet neighborhood in Riverdale no longer looked the same as before. The days of suspense were over, but the effects of what had happened had still left deep scars on their minds. This terrifying experience had shown them how mysterious and dangerous things could be hidden in their neighborhood. Goodbye. See you in other stories.